Hi guys, it's October, which is, hang on, let me just try and do something clever. If I put that there, then maybe I can be on camera for some of this, can I? As a reflection, yeah, here we go, because I want to do something very specific today. But it's October, and that's significant to this journey of recollecting my Amiga, which I will do in December of this year. But before we do this, what I want to do, well, it's October, and that's the relevant thing here. Let's just go through some dates of how long this journey has been so far. Hang on. I've just noted down some dates because I had to dig them out, and it's quite interesting. November 25th, 1989, as we saw in episode 1, that's when I went to the Computer Shopper show and actually picked up my Amiga 500 Batman pack, 30 years, almost 30 years ago, which is quite cool. Details that are they're significant, but they didn't really hit me at the time. November 15th of 2018, so November 15th of last year, is when I actually had the order confirmed via eBay of the new Batman pack that I've purchased. So nearly 29 years, and then it gets even closer. The day it arrived at my parents' house in the UK, remembering I actually live in Australia, but I'm originally from the UK, hence my rather weird and twisted accent and sense of humour, was the day it arrived at my parents' house in the UK was November the 22nd, 2018. So close to pretty much exactly 29 years. It'll be just over 30 years when I go back, because it'll be the beginning of December. Why is October relevant? October is relevant because it brings us right back to episode 1. And now there are other YouTubers that have done flick-throughs of magazines, and I know I started this channel with this exact same magazine, but what I want to do is I just want to do a flick-through of this magazine and talk about what evokes particular nostalgia to me. So again, I don't want to copy people. I know Dan Wood have done some flick-throughs of magazines. Nostalgia Nerds does some great ones, seriously. He does flick-throughs even of the Argos catalogue, and that is just riveting viewing. I love that kind of stuff as he goes through and looks at all the old stuff that you could buy all those years ago, and it's all the stuff that we would have sat there and flick through. These days we just flick through eBay or an online store or whatever. So it's not going to be a full flick-through of the magazine. It's literally going to be talking about, like I said, I would have got this before I actually got my Amiga. I specifically had this cover. It's funny how unlocking one memory unlocks another. I said in episode 1 that I remember tracing this, and I do. And I remember using that trace to transpose it onto a folder. The folder was blue, and I painted it in a silver paint, a metallic silver paint, shiny silver paint that I had as for radio controlled car paint. It's what it was. So I painted that in silver and the black, so the silver instead of the white, and then the black for the sunglasses and the headphones. And I transposed it over onto this A4 folder, and now I originally said in episode 1 I thought it was for schoolwork, and do you know what? It wasn't. What I originally did, and this explains why none of my magazines would have survived, my brothers and sisters said, good idea to keep everything, and keep it all together. And so what I actually did was I actually wrecked my magazines by hole punching them and putting them in this stupid A4 folder. And I think to get them in, I even removed some of the covers. Idiot. But that's why my collection doesn't exist anymore. It wasn't worth keeping. I'm so glad that other people out there have kept some magazines. So that's why I want to do this today, because this is the October edition of Amiga format, issue 3, October 1989. This is now 30 years old. Let's have a flick through. Obviously we open to the advert of Batman the movie, the game, part of, and the screenshots down the bottom there, would have been part of what was sort of pushing me towards the Batman pack, that's for sure. The Batman pack isn't actually featured in this magazine in full. It comes out in the next magazine, the November edition. Oh, I could have done this episode in September, because generally from memory, I'm sure memory serves me correctly, the magazine essentially hit the store shelves the end of the month before, about halfway through the month before. But yeah, this, mainly just the table of contents, but I do remember wanting Xenon 2. Obviously that's just a demo. The amusing thing is, again, it's a blurry memory and maybe it will come clear, but I certainly don't remember getting very far in Xenon 2, and part of me wonders if I only ever had the demo. I'm not sure. I swear I did eventually buy it at one point. Cool thing in this magazine, maybe this is why my brother chose to pick it up at the Computer Shopper show when we picked up the Amiga, but we do have the information here about the Star Wars trilogy coming out, and those were a great set of games. I've already covered them through emulation on the channel, so you can have a look at those. Nothing else on that page really evokes any emotion from me, to be honest. Keep in mind, I really was just into games. Some hardware stuff here, never really looked at it, never saw the need, certainly not for a 5.5 inch floppy drive, and even an external drive, 3.5, 5.25, isn't it? Yeah. But so yeah, I never got around to have any extensions to my Amiga. The only thing I ever did was put a 512 memory upgrade, Xenon 2 Mega Blast, so you know, a full page advert there, and of course you would take up the offer of a full page advert when you know your game's going to be featured in the magazine. And here we go. I mean, this is the reason why, you know, I traced it down. That cover was like, yeah, that's definitely the magazine I had, like I said, because of all the tracing and stuff. I knew of it that straight away when I was looking through the archive.org and all of that. But it was to really find the magazine with this advert, the Computer Shopper show, as I've talked about in episode 1. So I won't cover that in detail, but this is where the journey began. Seriously, that's where I got my Amiga. And looking at this magazine would have been, you know, one of the many magazines that I would have picked up and got information about that show. Nothing here. I mean, let's face it, as you flick through as a kid, which I was at the time, black and white pages you don't really spend much time looking at. I'm a very visual person, and you're just looking for pages like this and going, cool, what game's this, and spending time, you know, going through. But again, I've got a driving game up here. I can't say I played any of the games featured there, so I'm not even going to pretend to know. I mean, I could look through here and read what they all are, but yeah, didn't play any of those. It's quite interesting. Kits, I mean, there were different starter kits and everything coming up all the time. Crazy Cars, now I do remember looking at the screenshots, but that was more in boots. Crazy Cars and Crazy Cars 2, when I had my Spectrum and looking at the screenshots of those kind of games and going, oh, I must have an Amiga, because it was so much better, looked so much better than anything the Spectrum could do at the time. Sequencing really should, you know what, one of my boys is into keyboard synthesis stuff. He's been doing it through Mac at the moment, obviously, and part of me really wants, when I get hold of my Amiga 500, is to try and actually rig it up so that he can do some stuff through the Amiga, just to see what it would have been like. Not something I toyed with. Deluxe Paint, now obviously Deluxe Paint I knew was going to come with the Amiga. Didn't really spend much time reading any of this. This is going to be an interesting video in terms of didn't really do this, didn't really do that. I mean, look at this, images like this, you just go, you know, when you've come from a Spectrum and then you're seeing images like this, and the magazine's telling you that it's the computer doing it, and the, you know, the old Tutankhamun face there, you just can't believe it. You know, back in that day, seriously, I was just thinking, well, how are graphics ever going to get any better? And now look where we are these days, real-time ray tracing and stuff like that. That's absolutely insane. Didn't ever have these joysticks, didn't particularly like. Zipstick was my favourite. Eventually, it took me many broken joysticks to arrive at the conclusion that the Zipstick was the best joystick ever made. Certainly not the prettiest looking, went through a number of quick shots, but Strider, never played it. Golf, now I did play some golf games, but it certainly wasn't Jack Nicklaus golf, I don't think. Didn't really spend much time playing golf, but again, here we are. Is that Zen? Oh, that's Dominator. It looked like Xenon 2. Look at the even the alien style at a glance. Cool. It's not, so I never played that either. Did I play anything that featured in this magazine? Ah, I knew there would be something. Robocop, absolutely, that was great. F-16 Combat Pilot's an interesting one, because I remember that game, and I remember specifically buying it in a Virgin store in London, not the mega store. There was a smaller store on a street. I can't tell you what street because I can't remember. But it was a little pokey store with a little computer game section tucked away in one corner, and I was again spending birthday or Christmas money. So it was either, that was also either 1989 or it might have been 1990. I really can't recall. It was on a Christmas shopping trip to London with the sister, whole family. I remember the crowds of people and the fact that you had to go with the flow, because really it's like being stuck in a river when you go Christmas shopping in London. And we've been to several stores, and I eventually said, no, I want to go back and get that game because I'd seen this game. And look, so this is relevant to this magazine because it would have been, I would have reread this over and over again. Flight sims I knew was something I was going to be interested in. And this was an awesome game. I really want to get a new version of this, you know, a boxed version. And when I do, I'll cover that game in detail and tell you my memories of that. I don't want to spoil that now. But a fantastic flight simulator. I used to talk about that with my friends as if it was missions I'd really been on, and they just didn't get it because they weren't into computer games at the time, some of them. But Robocop's classic as well. That's good. Anything here? Alien Legion? No idea. I would have looked at detail in things like this. We did end up getting a printer, but my brother bought that. What else we got? Cheetah 125, had that. I never had a monitor, always plugged into the television. Oh look, my boy wants a keytar as well at some point. How hilarious would it be to get one that plugged into an Amiga? That's a C64 obviously. Yeah, so the Cheetah 125 Plus I had, and I remember having that, but I think that actually came with my Spectrum. The more I think about it, I think I got one of those with my Spectrum Plus 3, and what we got with the Amiga was a Quickshot 2. And then the Zuma steering wheel yoke joystick we picked up at the same time. Dot matrices, that's so cool. Isn't it weird how, you know, back then they were crap, they chewed your paper, they made horrible noises, and now, watch LGR's video on the dot matrix that he picks up, because it just takes you right back. Shadow of the Beast. Now look, I'm pretty sure my mate Steve was the first person to get a Commodore Amiga. He had not only the Amiga but Shadow of the Beast, but let's face it, it's a controversial title. Some people love it, some people hate it. Lots of people now turn up and go, it was actually crap. I don't care, it wasn't crap, it was epic, it was super hard. And some people see that as a downfall. It was insanely hard. The graphics were phenomenal. The sound and especially the music was outstanding. It was like playing through a dream, a weird dream / nightmare. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Steve, I know, had the big box version with these. Look at the free t-shirt. He had the big box, he had the t-shirt. I've just got in touch with my mate Steve actually via Facebook, so I'll have to find out if he's still got stuff. We had good times. So I'm pretty sure he would have had this before I got mine. I think he was the first one among us to get one. Really can't remember. Generally he was, because he was that little bit older than us. But many good times spent playing that. Oh, yeah, great times. He had a Spectrum Plus 2 before that as well. Xenon 2, so Fully Fijian. Like I say, I never remember getting past any levels that looked like this. So I wonder if I only ever played the demo. I really can't think. Waterloo, nah, didn't play any of that. Nope, that looks weird. Details about the disc and the other stuff that was on it, but let's face it, it was only Xenon 2 that really interested me. I don't have the disc here, but I have ordered one. I think I said that in episode 1. A guy sold me the cover disc for this, so that's waiting for me in the UK as well. So that was somebody off the English Amiga Bay forums. So that's cool. Oh, I do remember that actually. Yeah, on the disc. I purposely have put this magazine away in a cupboard, by the way, since not long after I did that first episode, so that was back in February of this year, that I just put this magazine in the cupboard for the specific reason that I wanted a video to do something like this at the opportune time and record it for just, you know, seeing what emotion it evokes. Plus I don't want it to get too wrecked obviously now. Nothing really interesting there. Getting caught on my coffee, which I put a shot of rum in it, and it's gorgeous rum, but actually I've ruined it putting it with coffee. Yeah, that's actually disgusting. Anyway, right, what else we got? They're just prices and stuff, mail order prices. It's amazing how much stuff was available. I remembered being obsessed with the idea of one of those digital hand scanners, but never actually got one. It's all so many adverts and stuff, information. Is that an F-18? Looks like an F-18. And the demo scene, lots of people talk about the demo scene, wasn't really that into it. Obviously what I was glued to at this point in time was looking through pages like this to see prices. What's the price, what do you get with it, what's the bundle? And just really keeping an eye out for the different bargains. Also keeping an eye on prices like this. I didn't get a 512k expansion until probably about a year or two later, because again, just had to save for it and get it. And certainly got it around the time of things like Microprose F1 Grand Prix, which of course you need. What the hell's going on here? What's this? Did I notice this? Is that? Can you see that? Do I need to? Is this gonna get me a strike on YouTube? I don't monetize my channels anyway. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, oh, I've just slid down, which may have affected my focus. Hopefully not. I'll just try and go up to where it was on the camera and tighten that back up. There we go. Lent on the camera too much. Did I miss a page there? I hope not. No, I'm not trying to just turn back to that page. DIY Kickstart upgrade. See, again, I mean, this was the period. My machine came with 1.3. Everybody was talking about upgrading to 1.3 at this point. So it wasn't something that I really took into account. I didn't really... None of this sort of hardware stuff was of any interest to me back then. I didn't really get into sort of poking about with hardware other than the memory upgrade until I got my PC. Again, because you had to, not because I wanted to. And then it kind of became an obsession from that point forward, and is even to this day. Looking at my desktop next week, by the way, I'll be looking at the desktop that I use to create most of my videos, and one of the things that's going to come up in conversation on that one is the potential upgrades, or whether or not I just build a fresh machine from scratch. Amos, see again, now I really wanted to create a game. How much was Amos? It was only 50 quid. Why did I not get Amos? I was obsessed with the idea of, even from the days of the Spectrum, even from the days of my Philips G7000, and there was a cartridge that we never ended up getting, which allegedly allowed you to create your own games. I was obsessed with the idea, something I've never done, and I'm not too old. I'm going to be teaching myself Unity with the idea of getting into that. I've got a flashing light on my camera. That might mean that I'm filling up not my SD card, but coming to the finite length. So this may be I may have to do an edit, we'll see. But yeah, so why did I never get Amos? I got the crap things. I got 3D construction kit. No, shoot 'em up construction kit. Eventually I got that, had a tinker about with that. Very limited, and I got 3D construction kit eventually, but that's blurry as to whether I first had it on Amiga. I definitely had it on PC. But yeah, there we go. Amos. I should have got that. I should have got that back then. I don't know. If this has been more colourful, maybe I'd have taken more note. Why did I never get Amos? Again, it's not too late. I could go back and get it. Virus killers, they were a thing. I didn't end up getting any viruses until obviously I started getting into pirated games, and funnily enough, you know, a couple of discs get wrecked by boot sector. I was never that into Kylie. I think I pretended to like Kylie because all my schoolmates liked Kylie. Sorry, Kylie. Danny. Now, Danny, there you go. And I live in Australia now. Is she single? Ah, oh, Danny Minogue. Yeah, Kylie. Oh, not for me. I'm sure she's gutted now. If she ever sees this, she's going, oh, you're serious? And Danny's going to be going, oh, yes, sweet. I am joking, by the way. Right. Nothing there, just prices. Oddly enough, I never really spent, because I knew I had an Amiga shop that I always went to called Megabytes in Tunbridge Wells. They were first on St John Street, then they went down to the High Street. Absolutely loved Megabytes. Right, sorry guys, there's a bit of an edit there, so I'm not sure. I saw this was the last frame was on this page. I'll just finish what I was saying. yeah, I bought all my stuff from Megabytes, so I didn't really go through these price lists on stuff like this, and to me that's a whole other video's worth of topic about how I think, you know, we've accidentally killed the sort of brick and mortar specialist computer shop, because we go bargain hunting, and most of the stuff we have to get stuff online, and I'm beginning to think it's a real shame. I actually get quite emotional when I walk around shopping centres these days, but anyway, yeah, look, things move on, and that's the way of it, but there's a certain customer service missing, I think, in a lot of how we do things today. Anyway, like I say, that's a topic for a whole nother day. Silkworm was amazing. That's one of those, again, that's what I love about it. Now I go flip side and talk about the online environment and how awesome it is. It's so cool how we can just jump on YouTube and then you look at things and you get reminded of things you'd forgotten. Do you know what I mean? Silkworm was it was such a great game. What else we got? It's all these mail order lists. My goodness, it is like being on Facebook and getting hit with ads all the time, isn't it? Not much there. BBC. We had these in our school, obviously. Pretty sure you did as well. Some of the coolest things I did with the BBCs was I just used the drawing package, and I liked TD, so I would do you know, the sort of line art, you know, vanishing point perspective type drawings. And I soon realised everybody else was doing sort of, you know, straight line drawing and playing about. There wasn't much you could do with the drawing package we had on the BBCs at our school. Obviously we did a bit of basic, I've done an episode on that as well. But I would mess about with the drawing package, but I would use the same principles that I'd learnt from the technical design, technical drawing lessons, and I'd be drawing 3D stuff essentially. By using those same principles. And I did the same thing in Deluxe Paint on my Amiga, funnily enough, for a bit of homework and also for a competition in a magazine one time. Shame I don't have any of those files anymore. That coffee with rum is foul, and it's such a nice rum by itself. Anyway, lesson for life: drink rum neat. So yeah, BBC. And what was the other thing? Yeah, we had the kit. So this is at secondary school, where you could link it up to Lego, and me and my mate Tim, we made a robot arm, you know, not from a book. We sort of just created it ourselves, a little robot arm that could pick up a can of Coke if we put it in a very specific place and pulled the ring pull up a little bit, and then turn it around and drop it in a bin off the side of the table. And oddly enough, the teacher thought it was awesome and got us to demonstrate it to some kids from younger years. Well, we were just messing about, really. More sellers, hardware, talk about stuff. It's funny, isn't it? So yeah, I thought this would be, yeah, played that. It really isn't. This is probably where I got the idea of putting everything in a folder. But instead of forking out for an actual folder at £9, I just, butchered all my things. So how would you have put it in that? Surely you'd have needed to have... Did anybody, let me know if you ever got the Amiga format binder and how it worked, and if you had to hole punch your magazines to keep them pristine, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. Back issues, and this is issue 3, by the way, when they went just Amiga, so they separated Amiga format and ST format. So there we go. What else we got? Format letters. Did I ever read any of these? No, they don't ring a bell at all. Okay, but something is about to ring a big bell. And here it is. Look, obviously I was on a budget, I was saving, and so I was really interested in every single package that came out, and this is certainly one. I definitely know I wanted the Batman pack, and I was hoping I would get a bargain, which I did. See episode 1. But the other one, I mean, let's face it, more is better. Yes, not necessarily, because actually you compare the games that you get in the Batman pack, they're all good games. The 10-star games pack, as you will see through my channel of the way I've covered each of the games individually, They're an interesting bunch of games, and some of them I would say are token games. Some of them were certainly not my favourite games at all, and some of them are just 8-bit ports. Barbarian, one of my favourite, absolutely. And it's only recently that I learned that it's essentially an 8-bit port. It's the C64 version, sort of, you know, made slightly better. But I loved it to bits. I thought it was the best. But, you know, when you're in the high street, you're looking at £400 and every pound counts, and then you're seeing packs that come with 10 games and they're £50 cheaper. You can't resist that kind of stuff. So I guess, you know, that does come into what we're talking about in terms of how it works today. You can't resist the online thing because it's that much cheaper than what you can get in the shop a lot of the time. But I do still think it's a bit of a shame. It is a separate topic. Goes into how I bought that Dell that I showed you last week. Similar thing. A keytar that works with MIDI. Oh, it's not save over £75. What's the price? Only £100. I wonder if it's still available. I might ring them up. Oh look, here's one of those hand scanners. Here's a hand scanner. Barcode reader, because we all need one of them. And speakers. Maybe this is where... Look, I got seriously into just plugging my Amiga into the hi-fi. The home hi-fi, and that was great to get the sound and separating the speakers out. It was so good. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters was awesome, and what's on the back cover? Indiana Jones. I don't think I ever played Ghostbusters 2. The movie was awesome, and I certainly never played Indiana Jones either. So there you go. At the end of the day, this magazine means so much to me, and yet the contents actually mean very little, in all honesty. So that's it. I hope you enjoy that. I'm going to have to edit these two parts together. The SD card is FAT32, so it can only, and it saves as MOV, just to bore you with the details. So they're very big file sizes, so it actually can't record for too long on its own SD card. It's so stupid, but it's an old camera. So there we go. All right, cheers guys. Thank you very much. We're nearly there. It's October. 2 more months to go. All right, cheers.